Welcome back. We are going through the SAT practice test number 5, module 1, and we are continuing the series that we have going. So this is number 23 on here. Which expression is equivalent to 42a over k plus 42ak, where k is positive, greater than 0? Well, the first thing that I see here is that we have some like terms that we can consider factoring out. So if we were to factor out 42a from both expressions, we are going to be left with 1 over k plus k. Now, the reason I like to do that first is because it does make our math a little bit easier. In order to get a common denominator inside of our parentheses, we just have to multiply both of these terms here by just this term by k over k. So it's going to be 42a, 1 over k plus k times k over k. Okay? 42a, 1 over k plus k squared over k. Since we have a common denominator, we can go ahead and write our denominator as a single expression. So we're going to get 42a k squared plus 1 over k. Now, this answer is going to be D. You might wonder why they extended this fraction bar over the entire thing. It's because 42a can really be over 1, and so you can go ahead and extend that fraction bar all the way. Which quadratic equation has no real solutions? Well, there's two ways to do this. You can either graph these options on Desmos, and what you're looking for is a graph that does not touch the x-axis, so something that perhaps would look like one of these options. Okay, all of those will have no real solutions. Another way to do this is through the discriminant, which is the part underneath the radical in the quadratic formula. B squared minus 4ac. This has 3 conditions, and the one condition that tells us that there are no real solutions is when the discriminant is negative. So the way that we identify this, all of these equations are in standard quadratic form, where we have a x squared plus bx plus c equals 0. A is what you plug in for a over here, b is what you plug in here, and c is what you plug in right there. So we're going to go ahead and work through these options. We have 14 squared minus 4 times 1 times negative 49. So this is going to be this option here. And what we have to see is if this answer will be negative. Now, before you go over to Desmos and start typing all this in, let's just use logic here. This is going to be a positive result. A negative times a negative is also a positive result. When you add those two numbers together, it's going to be positive. So this answer is not possible. Let's go through the second option. This is negative 14 squared minus 4 times 1 times 49. So that one actually could be negative. Let's check in Desmos and see. Okay, so during my calculations, I actually got 0 as a result, which still doesn't work because that would mean that there is one real solution, and we are looking for a negative discriminant. So that's not the option either. Let's try the third option. Negative 14 squared times negative 4 times 5 times negative 49. Again, we are going to have a positive result plus another result that's going to be something that's greater than 0. So option C is not it. It has to be option D. The function P models the population in thousands of a certain city T years after 2003. According to the model, the population is predicted to increase by 4% every n months. What is the value of n? A lot of students get tripped up on this question and they wonder why it says 1.04, or maybe they don't know what the 260 is or the significance of the 6/4. So we're going to kind of break all this down here. 260 is the initial population. Any number over 1 signifies that it's growing because this 1 stands for 100%. So you can't grow something unless you have 100% of what you started with plus some percentage more. 0.04 is 4 over 100 or 4%. Okay, so those are those two numbers explained. Now this function indicates a 4% increase for every 1 increase in the exponent. Well, let's just start out with the exponent if it were to equal 0. Okay. And let's see what would happen here. If we multiplied both sides of the equation by 4/6, we would still get t equals 0. Okay, and that would give us an initial population where t is 0. Let's try it if t equals 1. If we have 6/4 t equals 1, sorry, that the exponent is 1, we can simplify this to 3/2 t equals 1. Let's go ahead and multiply by the reciprocal. So we're going to get t equals 2/3. Now, t is in years, which is indicated here, but we are looking for n months. So if we have 2/3 of a year, that's going to be 8 months. A circle in the xy plane has its center at -1, 1. Line T is tangent to this circle at the point 5, -4. Which of the following points also lies on line T? I like to go ahead and sketch this out. -1, 1 is here, and line T is tangent to the circle at the point 5, -4. Tangent just means that it is touching that circle. So this is going to be a pretty large circle. I'm going to do our best here. Okay. And specifically, it means that there is a line that goes through that point, that circle at a 90 degree. Okay, that's what the definition of a tangent line is. Now it's asking us which of the following points also lies on line T. Okay, so let's just estimate these first two options. 0, 6/5, which is going to be 0/1. It's going to be about here. That does not lie on line T. 4/7 is going to be somewhere up here. That's also not going to lie on line T. Line T is here, okay, and we are looking for something that is going to cross our x-axis, and it's going to be somewhere between those two values. Now this is important. So we know that the line that's tangent is perpendicular to the line that we are already given. So what we can do is find the slope of the line that we currently have and then find the negative reciprocal, because that is the association between a line and a line that's perpendicular to it. So in order to do this, we have to apply the slope formula. This is going to be x1, y1 and x2, y2. So our slope formula is this. And we're just simply going to plug in these values. I am getting here -5/6. That does make sense because you can see that our slope is negative here. So our perpendicular slope is going to be the negative reciprocal, which is going to be 6/5. Now we know that this point here, 5, -4, is a part of both of our lines. So the way to figure out if this works or not is we can go ahead and plug this in to our y = mx + b form, or we can go ahead and use this point with the point 5, -4 to see if our slope gets to be 6/5. So let's try it that way. If this is now our x1, y1, and we're still going to use this as our x2, y2, let's apply this formula again. So you can see here that we did get the correct slope, which is 6/5, which means that this point falls on the line. This is the last question on Module 1. and kind of long. For an electric field passing through a flat surface perpendicular to it, the electric flux of the electric field through the surface is the product of the electric field's strength and the area of the surface. A certain flat surface consists of two adjacent squares where the side length in meters of the larger square is 3 times the side length in meters of the smaller square. An electric field with strength 29 volts per meter passes uniformly through this surface, which is perpendicular to the electric field. If the total electric flux of the electric field through this surface is 4640 volts meters, what is the electric flux in voltmeters of the electric field through the larger square? First thing that we're going to do is draw this out. The surface consists of two adjacent squares, so I'm literally just going to draw two squares that are right next to each other. It's all the same here. Okay, we're going to have the smaller side length is going to be x. The larger square is going to be 3 times that side length. Area of this, since it's talking about surface area, this one's going to be x squared. This is going to be 9x squared. It says here that the electric flux is the product of the electric field strength and the area of the surface. So if we look at this, we have 9x squared plus x squared. That equals 10x squared. We know that the strength is 29 volts per meter, and it passes uniformly through this surface. So that's going to equal 4640 here. If we go ahead and apply inverse operations here, we can go ahead and divide 4640 by 29. And that's going to be 160. Then we can divide both sides by 10. Then take the square root of both sides. So we're getting x equals 4. So we now know that x is 4. In order to find the area of the larger square, what we can do is plug this in, and we can multiply that value by 29, and that's going to give us our answer. So 4 squared is 16. 16 times 9 is 144. 144 times 29 is 4176. And that is our answer. So what we're going to do next is go through Module 2. Make sure that you guys subscribe and check in so that you can see some of the unique ways that these questions are phrased and some tips and tricks to help you get through and improve your score on the SAT.